You want to know who the biggest money launderer in the world is? It's the Federal Reserve, of course. What did he just say? In Colombia, people walk into the central bank with duffel bags, millions in cash. No IDs, no questions. The bank exchanges it for pesos, shrink wraps the dollars, and ships them back to the Federal Reserve. You think the Fed doesn't know where that money comes from? This isn't just a crime story. This is a story about the moment the global financial system almost cracked under the weight of drug money.
Let me paint you a picture of a problem so absurd, it sounds like fiction. $420 million every single week. That's what Pablo Escobar's Medellin cartel was earning at its peak. Every 7 days. More than most Fortune 500 companies make in a year. $60 million per day. By the late 1980s, Escobar's operation controlled 80% of the cocaine smuggled into the United States. 15 tons crossing the border every single day. But here's the thing nobody tells you about being the wealthiest criminal in history. Cash is a nightmare. Pablo Escobar spent $2,500 a month just on rubber bands to hold his money together. Think about that. $2,500 on rubber bands. His brother, Roberto, the cartel's chief accountant, later revealed they had to write off 10% of their cash every year, roughly $2.1 billion, because rats literally ate it. Moisture destroyed it. Fire consumed it. One night, while hiding in the mountains, Escobar's daughter, Manuela, got hypothermic. Know what he did? He burned $2 million in crisp bills to keep her warm. $2 million as kindling. This wasn't a money problem. This was a logistics problem. You can't just walk into Bank of America with $60 million in a suitcase and ask for a checking account. You can't wire transfer drug money without setting off every alarm from Miami to Manhattan. Traditional banking was impossible. So Escobar needed something else, something darker. He needed Wall Street.
Enter Robert Mazur, federal agent, family man, and about to become the most dangerous person Pablo Escobar never met. For 18 months, Mazur built a fake life as Bob Musella, a corrupt money launderer with connections that made cartel bosses salivate. He created a mortgage broker business in Florida with an actual seat on the New York Stock Exchange. Real offices, real clients, real everything. And it was all a trap. It was eye-popping for people in the financial underworld, Mazur later said, to be with somebody who could take them right onto the floor of the stock exchange. He wined and dined drug traffickers at the most exclusive restaurants in the world. He flew on private jets. He entertained corrupt bankers. He became so convincing that high-level cartel operatives, men like Roberto Elcano, who moved cocaine in cans disguised as anchovies, trusted him with their lives. More importantly, they trusted him with their money. And that's when Mazur found it. The bridge between Escobar's billions and Wall Street's greed. BCCI. Bank of Credit and Commerce International. Wasn't just any bank. With branches in over 70 countries and assets exceeding $20 billion, BCCI was a financial powerhouse. Founded in 1972, headquartered in Karachi and Luxembourg, it served everyone from oil-rich Gulf emirs to everyday depositors. But beneath that veneer of respectability was something monstrous. BCCI actively marketed itself to drug lords, terrorists, arms dealers, and dictators. They didn't just accept dirty money, they specialized in it. They created complex offshore structures, shell companies layered within shell companies, accounts in Luxembourg feeding loans in Panama, feeding investments in Switzerland. As undercover agent Mazur worked deeper into the operation, he watched in real time as Escobar's cash flowed through this system like water through a storm drain. Here's how it worked. The laundering machine. Step 1. Smuggle cash out of Colombia, millions at a time, hidden in everything from airplane tires to anchovy cans. Step 2. Deposit it in BCCI branches across the world, Luxembourg, Panama, the Cayman Islands, and Switzerland. Step 3. BCCI would create fake loans from one offshore entity to another, disguising the drug money as legitimate business transactions. Step 4. Move those funds through 2 or 3 more offshore jurisdictions, exactly like what we see in the Panama Papers today, ultimately funneling the money into accounts the cartel could access. Step 5. Make payouts to cartel operatives through different banks in different countries, all using nominee names. The paper trail was so convoluted, so deliberately Byzantine, that tracing it was nearly impossible. And Wall Street was complicit. BCCI wasn't operating in shadows. They had correspondent relationships with American banks. They moved money through New York, through Miami, through the very institutions that were supposed to be regulated, monitored, protected. According to congressional investigators, BCCI's own private detectives told bank officials in 1990 that prosecutors believed BCCI was a full-service bank in the worst sense of the phrase, actively seeking high-net-worth criminals and accepting their cash without regard for the source. Translation: they knew exactly what they were doing.
By 1988, Mazur had recorded over 1,200 hours of conversations. He had names, dates, bank accounts, wire transfers, everything. But bringing down BCCI required more than evidence. It required the impossible, arresting dozens of cartel operatives and corrupt bankers simultaneously across multiple continents without tipping anyone off. So they planned a wedding. Not a real one. A fake bachelor party for Bob Muzella and his fake fiancée, another undercover agent. The guest list read like a criminal who's who. Drug traffickers from Colombia, corrupt bankers from BCCI, money launderers from around the world. The invitations promised an epic celebration at an exclusive Florida resort. What the guests got were handcuffs. As town cars pulled up to what the criminals thought was a party, federal agents emerged from the shadows. More than 100 people were indicted that day. Over 3,100 pounds of cocaine seized. More than $600 million in fines and forfeitures. And BCCI, the 7th largest privately held bank in the world, it collapsed. July 1991, banking regulators from multiple countries moved simultaneously to shut down BCCI's global operations. It was one of the largest and most comprehensive bank closures in history. The fallout was catastrophic. Depositors lost billions. Government scrambled to contain the legal nightmare. The reputation of international banking was shattered. Congressional investigations revealed the scope of the criminality. BCCI had laundered money not just for Pablo Escobar, but for Panamanian dictator Manuel Noriega, for terrorists, for arms dealers, for anyone willing to pay. In December 1991, BCCI's liquidators pleaded guilty to being a criminal conspiracy, a racketeering, influenced, and corrupt organization. The entire institution, from top to bottom, was essentially organized crime masquerading as a bank. But here's what keeps me up at night. How close did we come to total collapse?
Because here's the uncomfortable truth that the banker in that Miami interrogation room was getting at. The Federal Reserve was receiving hundreds of millions of dollars in shrink-wrapped cash from Colombia's central bank. The same Colombia where drug cartels controlled the economy. The same Colombia where it was illegal for citizens to have US dollar accounts. And nobody asked questions. BCCI had correspondent relationships with legitimate American financial institutions. That means Escobar's drug money didn't just touch Wall Street, it ran through it, through clearinghouses, through wire systems, through the same channels your paycheck uses. When Mazur's investigation ended, he revealed something chilling. Banks have two brains. One brain is profit-driven, sales, growth, bonuses. The other brain is compliance, risk management, regulation, ethics. When those two brains meet, Mazur explained, upper management sides with profit every single time. Think about that. Even after BCCI collapsed, even after the scandal, even after the regulations that followed, it still happens. In 2012, HSBC was caught laundering money for drug cartels using the exact same techniques BCCI pioneered. Standard Chartered moved more than $250 billion for sanctioned nations like Iran, hiding transactions from governments. The methods haven't changed, just the names. The regulatory reforms that followed BCCI's collapse were supposed to prevent this. Stricter anti-money laundering rules, more transparency, international cooperation. But those reforms came with a catch. After the Patriot Act mandated anti-money laundering compliance for various industries, the Treasury Department issued temporary exemptions for real estate, private equity, luxury goods, and more. Those exemptions are now over 20 years old. They're still in place. Which means the doors are still open. The sinister window never really closed. It just moved.
Pablo Escobar died in 1993, shot by Colombian National Police on a Medellin rooftop. He was 44 years old. But the money? Most of it was never found. Of Escobar's estimated $30 billion fortune, worth over $65 billion in today's money, the vast majority remains hidden. Buried in barrels across Colombian farms, stuffed in walls of abandoned safe houses, stashed in secret compartments known as caletas. Swiss bank accounts with only Escobar knowing the numbers, unclaimed, untraceable. In 2020, Escobar's nephew found $18 million in cash hidden in a wall of a Medellin apartment. The bills were so old they were worthless. Just paper, but they were real. Treasure hunters still scour his former estate, Hacienda Nápoles, searching for hidden caches. Two former CIA agents made an entire TV series trying to locate his buried millions. They found nothing conclusive, because the people who knew where the money was hidden are either dead or they already dug it up. The money is still out there. And more terrifying, so is the system that moved it.